This next one was sent to CornyDriveThru at gmail.com from Miles Arden in Key West, Florida. The common topic of who should have been a world champion. One person. Okay, this is written really weird. Let me try this again.
Well, it's not Charlie.
The common topic of who should have been world champion. One person tends to be overlooked. The original Rock, Don Muraco. From your astute observation, why do you think Don Muraco got overlooked as a contender to run with a world title? Was it because he was lacking certain credentials that a company was looking for in the 70s or 80s? Everything I've studied about Muraco shows he had every credential a company needed to be the man for any given promotion. He had the look, the work, and the promo. Please enlighten us all on your views regarding Don Muraco and why he was destined to the mid-upper card level his entire career.
Well, now, are they talking about 80s WWF Don Muraco that might have been the WWF champion, or are they talking about 70s that maybe the NWA champion?
I think it's open-ended. I mean, I certainly wouldn't say that he was mid-upper card level throughout his career. I don't think that's a fair assessment.
Well, yeah, and I mean, let's face it. Don Muraco was a great worker, but by the time he gained all the weight and the 80s WWF run, he was a top guy and a good worker, but not the promo and not just the body or anything that you would want for the top guy in the WWF at that point in history. Would you concur with that?
Yes. Once the Hogan era started, there was no way that you could go from Hogan to that version of Muraco. I certainly think you could make an argument that he would have been acceptable to be the guy in between Backlund and Hogan, although the idea of Hogan defeating the dreaded Iron Sheik from Iran, that certainly fits better into the story, but
rather than the dreaded surfer dude from Hawaii
who's about to take off and go surfing for the next 6 months. Yeah.
And that's another thing is Muraco was not necessarily a workaholic. And like to do his surfing and everything, but no, in the 70s, young Don Muraco, and I've seen some footage. I didn't get to see him in person at that point in time, but like 74, 75, 76, the Florida run down South Georgia, he was in shape, had that fucking mustache and the hair with, just the great the fire. I've heard that he was not only an incredible working babyface in the ring, but just in great shape and the whole 9 yards. Still not a great promo, but somebody that if he had stayed in that shape and stuck with the NWA territories rather than making the move to the WWF and gaining the weight, he was a Magnum TA 10 years before Magnum TA, right? He was one of those guys that you could see, well, it might work out that way. It's not a lock that he'd be the champion, but that young, athletic, it could have happened, but it didn't. But so I don't know that I would put, if I was making a list of every wrestler that was never a world champion that should have been, he might be on it, but I don't know if he'd be up in the upper echelon of it. What do you think?
You're just saying he wasn't a great promo in his early days as a babyface. I mean, he became a phenomenal promo.
Yeah, well,
or did you not like his promos when he became a heel?
Well, no, he was okay promo when he was a fucking fat heel, but by then he was a fat heel. But he was
the highlight of 1983 WWF.
Well, see, I didn't watch a lot of 1983.
His feud with Rocky Johnson and then his feud with Snuka. It was all about Muraco. I mean, Muraco was fantastic.
Well, then I bow to your greater research on this.
Hold on. Now you're going to make me dig up a promo and play you something to hear what you think.
I'm just saying still, it's not like, I don't know that I would put Don Muraco on a ravishing Rick Rude or a category that, a guy who was never a world champion, but right there. And now you're continuing to dig and find. And
here's a promo from 1981 when he was the Intercontinental Champion, feuding with Pedro Morales, who had just returned to the territory. Here's Don Muraco and Vince McMahon, September 26, 1981. Local promo.
The magnificent Muraco returns to Madison Square Garden to defend the Intercontinental Championship Monday night, October 19, against the man whom he took the title from, Pedro Morales. A comment?
How many chances will this man have? How many times will I have to prove and put him down to defeat? How prejudiced can the WWF be towards the magnificent Muraco? Robbed of the world title, now, unwarranted, without reason, without cause, another title defense. Let me guarantee you one thing, and all the people within earshot of my voice all over the world, from Alaska to Honolulu to New York City. The magnificent Muraco will keep this belt as long as he wants. No matter how big the waves are right now on the island of Oahu, I'm hanging tight, baby.
How would you grade that promo?
Okay for Poughkeepsie.
That was for the garden. That was the garden.
I'm fucking with you. I just want to hear you fucking pop and get mad. It was all right. I'm just saying it was what it was. I'm not putting him above a Rick Rude in that category. I thought Rude's promos were better. His body was better. His work was better. Except Muraco was a hell of an athlete when he was younger. But but if you believe, and as a matter of fact, if Don the Rock Muraco, who, by the way, was not the original Rock because that was Rock Rogowski, and actually Rock Riddle may have beat him to it. If you believe that Don Muraco was wronged and was not given an opportunity to be world champion when he deserved it, then I think that he should hire some legal representation. And I think that legal representation should immediately file papers on Vincent McMahon to give Don Muraco one more run in the WWE today to show what he can do. Would you be behind that, Brian Last? One more run for The Rock, Don Muraco?
I mean, he's older now. I don't think he's in the shape for it, but compared to what they have there now, yes, absolutely.
I was about to say, here's the thing. The competition is not as stiff as it used to be. And I know one man that can get him that opportunity, one man that can get him that run, one man that can file the paperwork to send Don Muraco back to re-win the Intercontinental title.
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. Still to the rest.
Yes, Don Muraco, if you're out there within the sound of my voice, I want you to reach out and put your hand on the computer, and I want you to call the number 888-692-8084. I want you to email newlawoffice.com. I want you, Don the Rock Muraco, to retain the services of Stephen P. New to facilitate your re-entry and redominance of the company that you once sat atop for so long as Intercontinental Champion. Don Muraco, you can get Stephen P. New to work for you, and he can take you back to the promised land. And think about it. Almost all the modern wrestlers are at least half the size of Don Muraco, so he should have no problem quickly going through that roster, Brian, and then we'll see. We'll see if you and that asked that last question have hitched your wagon to the right horse here. Stephen P. New is the man to do that. Or if you just want to sue some asshole that screwed you around or victimized you in some way by poisoning your environment, your air, your water, your food, or in some way or another caused damage to you or your family through negligence, greed, and avarice, it's the same. 888-692-8084, newlawoffice.com. What do you think? Could Stephen P. New take Don Muraco to heights that even the Grand Wizard of Wrestling could have never dreamed, Brian?
I think so. And again, Muraco had the Grand Wizard, notoriously, when they started making him more of a comedy figure, Mr. Fuji, and Captain Lou Albano, And on that note, Jim, can I play you another interview with Don Muraco?
Oh boy, you're his press agent now, aren't you? Well,
because you know what? He's awesome, and you didn't see because you didn't watch that.
He's filled
WWF
with
stuff.
awesomeness.
He was Don Muraco between 1980 and 1984 is one of the highlights of WWF wrestling. He's fantastic.
Play me another interview.
Okay, this is from, I want to say early 84, but let's play this. It doesn't have Vince McMahon doing his best Howard Cosell like the previous one did. Hold on.
January the 26th, gigantic six-man tag. A whole lot more we're going to be talking about a little bit later on. The magnificent one, Intercontinental Champion Don Muraco from the great state of Hawaii. And, of course, I've got to bring up the subject of your opponent, the challenger in this particular case, the great Pat Patterson out of San Francisco, California.
Oh, my goodness. My goodness. I have a whole recording of Pat Patterson's interviews, a recording of his wrestling matches, a recording of Pat Patterson's most exciting moments, and I play them every night before I go to sleep because they put me to sleep. He is boring. He is boring. Pat Patterson is probably the most boring person I have ever come across in my life. When I sit here, I want to pick my nose and yawn and just go, oh, he's boring. Isn't he boring? And he wants to be a champion.
Gentlemen, what about his wrestling prowess?
He could, his what?
Wrestling prowess.
He's so smart. Oh! How about his pros? How about his pros? How about him? You've seen the things he gets behind. You know what? How about him? How about him for being boring? Boring.
Well, gentlemen, I'm sorry.
Boring.
At the risk of being rude, I'm going to have to ask if you would. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, there it is. You should see some of the things that Pat Patterson gets behind.
Well, there you have it. Holy mackerel.
All right. Let's get
All righty then.
Let's get another.
This is your show.
That's right.